Good, happy Sunday morning, May 17, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday morning, so let's begin. First up, New Hampshire reports 12 more COVID-19 deaths, 98 new cases. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Beltate's building supply has been classified an essential business, and we take this responsibility very seriously. Now you have the option to place your orders via phone or email to orders@beltates.com for free delivery or curbside pickup. Stay safe because you matter to us.
Back now with breaking news, the state has just announced 12 new deaths related to COVID-19 in New Hampshire. That brings the total now to 171 people who have died here. DHHS is also announcing 98 new positive test results today. That brings total cases now to 3,556. More than 2,100 of those are still active cases.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Coronavirus in New Hampshire, what you need to know. Let's take a look at that information right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 3,556 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,466,682 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 171 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 347 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 88,730 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where current cases of COVID-19 are. Salem, 117. This map of New Hampshire shows you where total cases of COVID-19 are. Salem, 211. These three charts here. We're going to start with the first one, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red, deaths. This chart here, current cases. In the purple, current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. This chart here, total cases. In the purple, total COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. In the red, deaths, and in the blue, recovered. This chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you by female and male. This chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases. This chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. Your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Hampton Beach businesses debate reopening as beach remain closed. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
When you cut lawns for a living, reliability matters. The Kubota commercial lineup, with purpose-built mowers like the Z700, SZ, and W Series, decrease downtime and increase productivity. And a comprehensive fleet program with special discounts and free loaners helps grow your business. One perfectly manicured lawn at a time. Now get the Z700 mower for 0 down and 0% APR for 60 months or save $500.
Where best means second to none, MD.
The end of May is usually the kickoff to summer at Hampton Beach, but during this year's three-day holiday weekend, the normally buzzing boardwalk is expected to be quiet.
For many, this is not going to be your typical a week of May right before Memorial Day.
Barricades still block parking lots, and the beaches remain closed under the governor's orders. Not a soul on the sand on a recent sunny spring day, as seen in these aerial photos. And while retailers have been allowed to start reopening, some are choosing not to.
This is life-changing.
Joyce Shipley-Alders has run a giftware shop inside the casino building on Ocean Boulevard for more than 40 years. But with its small and narrow layout, she says it was almost impossible to comply with the state's reopening restrictions for social distancing. And with so many unknowns ahead, she decided to close.
3 out of my 4 workers, staff, are over 67 years old, and I'm in my 60s, and, I just didn't feel it was the right time this year to open.
At the Casino Ballroom, Hampton's venue for big music artists, most shows have been canceled or postponed through the end of June. The wave of COVID-19 has also paused weekly fireworks and shows at the Seashell. The famous sand sculpting classic has been delayed until September. But there is some sun shining on the shore. A handful of eateries have reopened for takeout, trickling in local foot traffic. And soon, there will be more.
With the help of the town and public safety, we're going to have 25 restaurants opening up their outside dining this Monday.
John Nyan is with the Hampton Area Chamber of Commerce and is on the governor's reopening task force. The group has put together a plan to partially reopen beaches on June 1st to allow things like swimming, walking, and surfing. But the governor has to sign off on it, and it's unclear when and if that may happen. In Hampton, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Suspect in custody after officer-involved shooting in Boston's South End, police say. Let's take a listen to that video from WCVB Boston.
We don't know exactly how many shots were fired, but we know it was a lot because the commissioner says the suspect used every bullet in the chamber and he was just recently released.
He violently struggled. He was fighting all the way.
A 41-year-old recently released from prison engaging in a broad daylight shootout with Boston police Saturday afternoon. Officials say it started around 2:15 when officers confronted him at Northampton and Shawmut after receiving calls about a man threatening people with a gun. A foot chase developed with both sides exchanging gunfire until the suspect ran out of bullets and was apprehended in nearby Chester Park. Miraculously, nobody was injured.
He fires his weapon to lock back at the officers on a main thoroughfare in a crowded neighborhood at a park where children play.
Police did recover a gun from the scene, and though the commissioner didn't say how many officers fired, he said 4 were taken to the hospital to be evaluated. And he also took the opportunity to rail against those he says are letting violent criminals return to the streets, specifically mentioning Judge Christine Roach, who has recently drawn ire for releasing an accused killer to his home due to the pandemic while he awaits trial.
You folks standing over there, this is your neighborhood. Nobody should be releasing repeat violent offenders that will act like this. This is unheard of.
And back here live, you can see right next to one of those green markers there, the gun is actually still here at the scene. There is still a very large group of investigators here trying to figure out exactly what happened. Meantime, this is not the first time that the commissioner has criticized a judge at the scene of the crime. In fact, he did it just last month at the scene where a 5-year-old girl was shot. We're live here in Boston. Adam Bagney, WCVB, News Center 5.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Hundreds of protesters returned to Augusta calling on officials to reopen Maine. Former Governor Paul LePage made an appearance at Saturday's rally. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
Giving the class of 2020 recognition they deserve. Channel 8 Senior Shoutouts.
Well, hundreds of protesters once again gathered in Augusta today, calling for the reopening of Maine, and joining them from a distance, former Governor Paul LePage. WMTW News 8's Terry Stackhouse has more from the state capitol.
Protesters in Augusta lined the streets from the State House all the way to the Blaine House, and they had a clear message for Governor Janet Mills: lift restrictions or risk irreparable harm to the state's economy. Undoubtedly, protesters were heard, but the hundreds gathered in Augusta say they want Governor Mills to listen. Despite possible health risks, some, like Angela Corbin, believe this is a matter of liberty. She wants the stay-at-home order lifted.
I think it's my job to take care of myself and to take care of my own health, and it's the government's job to exercise and protect our rights, and that's not happening right now.
Peter Guidi says the 14-day quarantine for out-of-state visitors is devastating to his Old Orchard Beach hotel.
Facing an imminent bankruptcy with rules that are absolutely impossible for our guests to understand coming to Maine. And it's not just us.
Arriving in a car with Florida plates, former Maine Governor Paul LePage. He addressed protesters from his car, calling into a parking lot rally. In an April radio interview, LePage said he'd challenge Governor Mills in 2022. We asked if he's really running again.
Governor, can you clarify if you're running again?
We reached out to Governor Mills and the Maine CDC. Neither responded. Social distancing was not widely practiced. Masks were sparse. Protesters we spoke with believe, even with restriction rollbacks, the state's safety measures compromise their constitutional rights.
You hear the anger. There's anger out and about. People in Maine have been without jobs for a very long time now. You have people on unemployment for over 7 weeks. They have not received their first check yet. These people have families that they need to provide for, and they're legally not allowed to.
What's not clear is if today's protest was permitted. The city of Augusta requires permits for gatherings of more than 200 people, but police here did not report any problems. Reporting in Augusta, Terry Stackhouse, WMTW News 8.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Churches begin to open in Newark for private prayer confession. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC7NY.
You'll get the best 5G network and the best prices. Welcome to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network.
Turning now to the coronavirus pandemic and the efforts now underway to reopen parts of New Jersey. For many people, today will bring about some sense of normalcy as in Newark. That's just one step being taken across the Garden State. Eyewitness News reporter Diana Rocco live outside Newark with more on what the changes are in store today. Diana.
Hey, Mike, good morning. You know, something we haven't seen in nearly 2 months here now is houses of worship will be open today. They will have their doors open for private prayer and confession to the public And this is a giant step here for people who have been missing being able to go to Sunday masses or to church service. We know churches have been closed since this pandemic started. Well, this morning, the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart is one of those whose doors will be open to people seeking private prayer and confession. No masses just yet, but that is coming. The Archdiocese of Newark is opening its doors for private prayer this morning, while plans for Phase 2, which is weekday masses, and Phase 3, which includes Sunday masses, still in the works. The Archdiocese has to try to figure out how they can do that while still social distancing. Also this morning, Governor Murphy did sign an executive order to allow fishing charters and other chartered boat services and watercraft rentals to resume. That is effective as of 6 o'clock this morning.
We will require specific social distancing and sanitation measures to be followed, including the implementation of online or telephone payment systems to further lessen direct person-to-person contact, among other procedures spelled out in my order.
And also part of Phase 1, tomorrow, non-essential businesses will be able to open throughout the state of New Jersey only for curbside pickup, and construction that is non-essential will resume in the state as well.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Defying stay-at-home order. Maryland pastor to hold service for 250 and 500 seat church. A prominent Baltimore pastor plans to hold 2 services for 250 people each Sunday, defying an executive order from the city's mayor that extended stay-at-home order directives. The Rev. Alvin, pastor of Friendship Baptist Church in Northeast Baltimore, told the Baltimore Sun he will not comply with the city's order that limits gatherings to no more than 10 people. He said his congregation will follow social distance guidelines, and the 500-seat church will be at 50% capacity. He also said that police tried to halt service at his church on Sunday, March 29th, 2020, even though he had limited in-person attendance to 10 people. On Friday, Maryland businesses began a gradual reopening of retail and personal service as stay-at-home order issued by Governor Larry Hogan about 6 weeks ago in response to the coronavirus ended, though the governor left flexibility for counties to decide how much they want to reopen. Baltimore is among the traditions in the state that are not easing restrictions. Under the governor's stage 1 reopening, churches and houses of worship can begin holding religious services at up to 50% capacity, with outdoor services strongly encouraged. The pastor Reverend said his church has about 800 members. Neither the mayor's office nor police department responded to the newspaper request for comment on the pastor's plans. The pastor's decision contrasts that most houses of worship in the area, which have decided to remain closed, including Merja Church's Empowerment and Temple AME Church in Baltimore, and Grace Christian Fellowship in Timion. Both are offering live stream services. In accordance with the mayor, the Archdiocese of Baltimore won't allow more than 10 people in parishes, but Sunday Mass will not resume before the end of the month. Body found in shallow waters of Carolina Beach. Coastal authorities said a body of a man was found in the shallow waters of Carolina Beach Saturday morning. 2 officials said the Carolina Beach Police Department and Carolina Beach Fire Department and New Hanover County EMS were dispatched to the beach just before 8 a.m. in reference to a man that was not breathing in shallow waters along Scallop Lane. On arrival, emergency responders attempted to resuscitate the man, but determined the person was dead. The NC Medical Examiner's Office has since been notified, and an autopsy is scheduled to be determined the cause of death. Authorities have not identified the man at this time and are working to notify next of kin. Local restaurants, stores get ready to allow 50% capacity. Local businesses gear up for more customers. Let's take a listen to that video from WPBF 25 News, Florida.
The name you trust for new cars is the name you trust for pre-owned. With certified pre-owned Hondas. Inspected, reconditioned, and like new. With roadside assistance, 2 complimentary oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Test drive one at your local Honda dealer today.
I think it's going to be huge.
At Ocean Magic Surf and Sport in Jupiter, the owner is excited that he can soon welcome more customers back into his store.
50% people will definitely be getting out of the house more, feeling more confident about going out and shopping. Plus the beaches are going to reopen. And we've been noticing just as the weeks progressed here that our traffic in the store has increased.
Store owner Don French says he believes since his staff members wear masks, continuously sanitize the store, and encourage guests to wear face coverings, shoppers feel comfortable coming to the surf shop.
But at 50%, we're just looking to open things up a little more, and but still be safe.
Also in Jupiter, restaurants like Casamia Trattoria and Pizzeria are preparing to safely accommodate more customers.
We're going to have to keep people distance outside as much as possible before they come in, not have people crowding, by the front door. So it's just a matter of controlling it.
The owner of the restaurant says business has been down, even taking the lowered capacity into account.
It's been quiet. I think people are a little bit hesitant to go out still. I'm not sure that people are really going to feel truly comfortable until we can open up at 100%. Until people, I think, really start to go out, until they start feeling comfortable when, let's say, the governor tells them, okay, now it's safe for you to go outside.
Pagetti says he agrees with the governor's approach to reopening businesses incrementally, and he's trying to stay optimistic.
We're just really trying to stay hopeful that, we will be able to get back to some form of normalcy in the near future. And we'll see where we go from there. It's just hard to tell. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, how the restaurant business is going to be, how long it's going to be affected for. So, let's see what happens on Monday and hope for the best.
And tomorrow we'll check in with local gyms to find out how they're getting ready for their long-awaited reopenings. Reporting in Palm Beach County, I'm live tonight. Steve King, WPBF 25 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Three firefighters in critical condition, multiple injured after fire and explosion in downtown Los Angeles. 11 firefighters suffered burn injuries in the incident, according to the Los Angeles Fire Department. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC 7, California.
SE for less than $100 when you switch to Metro. And right now, get 4 lines of unlimited for just $25 each. Metro. That's all Gabriel needs to rule his day.
Explosion! I have 2 down firefighters.
Breaking news, a mayday call as firefighters are caught up in a powerful explosion and fire in a downtown LA building. 11 firefighters injured, some of them critically. Tonight, what triggered the massive blast?
We have live team coverage for you tonight. Amy Powell is live at the scene speaking with shocked eyewitnesses. But we begin with Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter, live at County USC Medical Center, where many of those firefighters are being treated tonight. Leanne.
That's right, all 11 now in the burn unit here at the hospital. Just a short time ago, we heard from LAFD Chief Ralph Terrazas about that incident. He said it is a call that he has always dreaded receiving, and this time especially so. 11 firefighters injured in that explosion, but there is some good news tonight. All of them are expected to recover despite their serious injuries. LA fire crews rush their fellow firefighters to the hospitals. Police escort the ambulances. 11 members of Engine 9 and Skid Row burned in the massive explosion. 3 in critical condition.
Some of the firefighters have superficial burns. Others have partial to full thickness burns. We anticipate at least one will probably need skin grafting at some point.
The blaze broke out at Smoke and Tokes in downtown LA around 6:30. Moments after entering the building, they realized something wasn't right and were in the process of evacuating when the building suddenly exploded.
Our firefighters came down the aerial ladder from the roof with their turnout coats on fire.
Explosion! I have 2 down firefighters.
Firefighters putting out a mayday call as fellow crews rushed to save them from the flames. Authorities now investigating what sparked the sudden explosion, but say butane was found at the scene. The main focus, though, now is on the injured firefighters' recovery and that of the whole department.
A lot of our firefighters were traumatized. I spoke to them directly, and they're holding up. But when one of your own is injured, you can imagine the amount of emotional stress.
Yeah, a very difficult night. Certainly very hard for that department in its entirety, I should say. Now, the injuries on those firefighters range from 1st degree to 3rd degree burns. But again, good news in all of this. All of them are expected to recover, but certainly for some of them, it is going to be a very long process. Live in Boyle Heights, Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. NFL player arrested on felony charges. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Time now for the Index and NFL players charged with armed robbery. New York Giants DeAndre Baker and Seattle Seahawks Quinton Dunbar turning themselves into police in Miramar. The cornerbacks are accused of stealing watches and money at gunpoint during a party on Wednesday. Lawyers for both players say they have evidence that will exonerate them. And the wild car crash through a family's backyard. Surveillance video showing an SUV slamming through a fence. It happened at a home near Miami, Florida. Police say the driver suffered a medical emergency but is expected to be okay. And the trial's underway to see if dogs can detect COVID-19 in humans. Researchers in the UK now testing if medical detection dogs can spot the virus through a body odor before symptoms appear. The dogs have already been trained to detect certain cancers and other viruses. Hi, everyone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this Sunday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye.